Hi David.
Hello.
How are you?
Very good.
So thank you so much for inviting me into your absolutely beautiful home on this glorious sunny day.
It's a pleasure.
We've met before. Ty Streetman and I came to your home March last year.
Yeah.
And we did a couple of videos with you, and there's been some significant changes to your aquarium setup. This is your biggest, and
Yes.
if it's okay with you, I'd like to do a bit of a deep dive on it and have a conversation around it and maybe some other topics as well. Is that okay?
Perfect.
Cool. So do you want to just introduce yourself very briefly and who you are, what you do, and then we can start talking about the aquarium.
Yeah. I'm David, 37 years old. I'm school teacher profession, and I'm doing some biotoping.
Yeah.
And this is my latest biotope, and have 2 tanks at the time running biotopes.
Cool.
Yeah.
And let's start off with, I normally like to start off with the equipment. People are quite fascinated by the technology that runs these things. So this is a Blau aquarium, is that right?
Yeah.
And what size is it?
It's 300 liters.
Okay, so what, 120 centimetres?
122,
Okay, by what, 50?
Times 50 times 50.
50, okay, yeah. Perfect.
Yeah.
Is it low iron glass as well?
Yeah.
That's really nice. Good silicone work, very neat.
Yeah, it's always...
It's a good alternative to ADA, isn't it? They seem a good competitor, a good price point as well.
Yeah, it is. It's cheaper.
Yeah, quite popular in Denmark. I've not seen much Blau anywhere else. I think it's is it Portuguese?
I think it's a Portuguese brand. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's good. 12 mil or is that 10 mil?
It's 12.
12.
Yes.
Yeah, nice. Obviously rimless, braceless.
Yeah, I like that rimless view.
No jumping fish.
I've had 2.
Have you?
Yeah.
Which species?
The algae eaters.
Oh, the bristlenose, the ancestris.
Yeah. No, that.
The Siamese.
Yeah, Siamese one. Yeah.
Well, they are called flying foxes for a reason. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the only non-South American fish as well.
Yeah.
Maybe it didn't like the South American guys.
Yeah, I guess that was the problem.
And the lighting?
Yeah, that's the Chihiros A2.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's quite powerful.
Yeah, it's running really high.
So it's growing the plants well.
Yeah, I'm actually only running it at 85%.
Oh, okay.
Normally.
I like the colour rendition. Really nice colours, and it's a very thin form profile as well. It doesn't take up much space. Quite subtle. You could put, if you wanted a really high energy planted tank, you could put multiple ones of these on, couldn't you? No problem.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, but you don't use CO2 injection, is that?
No, it's a low tech in that matter. So
low tech, people love low tech.
Yeah.
People are scared of CO2 injection, aren't they? I think, and it's expensive as well.
Yeah, I have been a little scared of the technology.
And it's not Biotope correct, is it? Really, you don't get CO2 injection in the rivers.
No, much of Biotope setups doesn't require any high tech plants in a way. So most plants in nature are kind of grassy types. And
yeah, of course. And I think the advanced plants or the high-tech plants, if you did find them in nature, they'd be growing immersed.
Yeah.
And so they'd be getting all the CO2 and the light that they need from being out of water.
Yeah.
And actually, it's a good point, because when they are flooded, they're really going to struggle, because they haven't got that access to CO2 and light, and that's why they are high-tech plants. So you need to inject more CO2 and have more light to grow them underwater.
And even this setup that's not much biotope that have so much planting.
Yeah.
Most biotopes are sparse in plants.
Yeah, that's true. Unless you see some of Ty Streetman's videos where it's just underwater. And Chris Lukow, have you seen some of his stuff? There's some but they are rare, aren't they? They are quite rare to see that beautiful kind of meadow look. And going back to the aquarium itself, see the lighting. How long do you have it on for a day?
8 hours.
8 hours. Okay.
With some rimming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And filtration?
Yeah, it's what do you call it?
Oh, it's Aquel.
Yeah, Aquel, yeah.
Nice. Does that have a pre-filter?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought they did. Yeah, because I always thought the Biomasters were the only ones, but yeah, the Aquels do. Do you find that a good filter?
Yeah, I do. It's
good.
I like it. It's,
probably good price as well, I guess. Quite reasonable.
It's not noisy and it's running a high flow rate. And,
Awesome. And you running just tap water?
Yeah.
Yeah. And you were saying in Denmark they don't have any chlorine or very little chlorine, so you don't even need to use a dechlorinator.
No.
So hard tap water, but this is a South American Orinoco. Is that Rio Orinoco?
Yeah,
based on that.
It's inspired by Rio Orinoco, I think.
Okay. And that would be in nature very soft.
Yeah, it would, and that's also why it's not strictly biotope correctly, because my pH is too high and most of the fish are captive bred. Is that right? Yeah. So they're used to the harder water. Yeah.
I think that's a good point, because people shouldn't be limited by their water parameters necessarily. You can still create a beautiful habitat-inspired aquarium with things that you can find every day.
Yeah.
You know, you don't need to go super specialist to create a stunning biotope-inspired aquascape. I'm really impressed with the way your plants are so healthy without CO2. Or do you use fertilizers?
Yeah, I'm running quite high doses of
okay, that's interesting. Yeah. How much do you add?
4 or 5
squirts. Every day?
Every day, yeah.
Ah, it's quite a lot, but it's working.
Yeah.
And is that the Tropica Premium Nutrition?
Yeah.
Okay. And you got a little gift package today, didn't you?
Yeah, that's great.
Tell people where you were today.
Yeah, we were at the Tropica plots, and you showed me around, and I was like a guy in a toy store. So
I love showing people around, and I remember what it was like for me. You know, the first few times I went there. Yeah. It's funny because I go there every month. You kind of take it for granted, but when you show someone else around, you get that energy back because you remember, you know, what it was like. And it took us ages to find the Anubias Petite, didn't it? We must have looked in about 100 tents. Yeah. And we got there in the end. But yeah, you got some lovely plants. And are you going to put any of them in here?
I think, yeah. Some of the Ecuadorians. Yeah. There's a large root in the back, I think. Yeah. I will remove, because I was hoping that the Vallisneria could just go up in between, but they are struggling, so otherwise it'll just leave this gap. So yeah.
Let's talk about the aquascape in more detail then. So you've got the beautiful driftwood here. Is this just one piece?
No, the main part is one piece, but then
you have a piece here.
Yeah.
And is this one piece, or is that?
No, that's 2.
Oh, you've really cleverly made it look like it's... Yeah. That's really clever, I like that. But it does look like one piece, and I guess that's the effect.
That's kind of the effect, yeah.
Yeah. And there's no algae on the wood, and I think that's the ancestress, isn't it? Is it constantly?
It is, yeah.
And you've got a little cave for him as well down there, that's cool.
Yeah, I've never ever had ancestress breeding in a tank. So now I thought...
Give it a try.
Yeah,
yeah, why not? They're supposed to breed relatively easily, I think.
Yes,
yeah.
I've just never had the cave for it. So yeah, now I've put it in. Let's see.
Oh, I love it. Okay, so the hardscape, the substrate system, what are you running? Soil at the back?
Yeah, it's Tropica soil in the back.
Yeah.
And it's 2 or 3 types of sand and small gravel in front.
I love that because it looks really natural, doesn't it? If you just have that sort of one mono grain of sand, it just doesn't look natural at all.
No.
But yeah, you've mixed obviously the different types of small pebbles. Even some of the soil that's come forward looks quite natural because it's kind of blending in with the other brown bits. Love it. Let's talk about the fish.
Yeah. So
the biggest fish, which are juveniles at the moment still, is the angelfish?
Yeah, it's some scalars, Rio Nanai types.
Yes. Yeah, I've kept them, they're beautiful.
Yeah, and they get quite big.
They're sort of this bit this high, And they're very elongated fins, don't they? And they're quite a relatively small body. Yeah. They're almost like a cross between a scalare and a Alton. Yeah. In fact, there was a rumour that that's what happened, that they crossed over. There was a flood, I think. Do you hear the story?
Yes, yes.
There was a flood, and then the loads of fish, discus, angelfish, and I think they merged into the same water body, and then the rumour is that they cross.
Yeah, and that's also why in the beginning I read about there was autumns in Rio, Orinoco. So I started out thinking I should probably have those, but it turned out to be impossible to get them, and they wouldn't be able to thrive in this hard water anyway. So I needed to settle on some kind of hybrid capture bred type, so I did that.
Beautiful. And the other fish, you have the diamond tetra.
Yeah.
The Moncausii
Pituri, yeah.
And the classic cardinal tetras.
Yeah.
Paracoridon, Axolotl.
Yeah.
And am I missing? Oh, Corydoras.
Yes.
Which species of Corydoras is that?
It's Corydoras loxosonus.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Do they get bigger?
A little bigger, yes. About 6 centimeters, I guess.
Yeah. They're so cute.
Yeah.
They're just like little puppies, and they follow you around. And just their movement.
Yes.
Like they're wagging their tail.
Yeah, it's very much like a puppy.
Yeah.
And they will always rest underneath this root and lay down in a group. And it's a very schooling fish.
It's a really I really like this aquascape.
Thank you.
Because it's deceptively simple. But the more you look at it, the more you realise there is. You've got a really classic selection of fish, South American fish. I didn't realise they're all from the Orinoco.
No.
Yeah.
Except for the Scalaris. That's
okay. And the flying fox.
Yeah.
But the diamond tetras and the cardinals, I mean, that's a really lovely combination. And then because they take up, the sort of middle space of the aquarium, and you have the Corydoras at the bottom, and the Scalaria sort of more towards the top, so obviously all over, but you have activity at all levels and colour, but not too much colour. It's not too gaudy. You have splashes of the red and the blue from the cardinal tetras, and the subtle kind of iridescence of the diamond, and then just the cuteness of the Corydoras. Let's talk about the planting. You've noticed you've got, is that frog bit at the top? Amazon frog bit, Limnabeum laevigatum?
Yeah.
Beautiful.
And that's kind of, I think, the secret of running a low-tech scape.
Do you?
That's floating plants.
And why is that?
Yeah, because of, they just take so much stuff from the water, because they
nutrients.
Emerge and suck it up, and they can't get algae, they can't get so it's really
they're like a buffer, aren't they? They consume excess nutrients, they block excess light. You kind of need to manage it, don't you? You take some out.
Yeah, I'll take some out when they get too much. Also, sometimes I'm cutting some of the roots when they tend to be too long.
They do get really long, don't they?
Yeah.
I had an Aquascape 600 aquarium, which is a South American biotope. I think I had banjo catfish in there, some apistogramma.
Okay.
And the roots literally went from the surface to the substrate.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah. I quite liked it.
Yeah.
It looked like jungle vines.
Yeah, that's very natural.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. But another interesting thing about floating plants is because they're so fast growing, because they're so near the light, of course, and have all the access to the CO2 in the air, they grow so fast. They're a great indicator plant. So if there's any signs of nutrient deficiency, they're the ones that show it up first before the other plants do.
That makes sense.
So it's like an early warning thing. And it's good that you're dosing the fertilizer every day, because that means that all the plants are getting enough food. I think people underestimate the need for plant food. Yeah. And you have various Amazon swords, Echinodoros in here?
Yeah, in the back. And they are actually kind of slow growers in this setup.
Which species is that?
It's the classic
the Grisbacki Bleriot. Yeah.
And there's a single Echinodorus bartzi in the middle.
Yeah.
Really big.
And Ocelot.
Yeah. Green and red.
Ah, nice.
And,
yeah. I've grown fond of Echinodorus from my big tank at home.
Yeah. I quite like them as well.
Yeah. Mine's not, Biotopes. I've got a mixture of everything: Asian, African, South American. But I think there's something. We're talking about this in the car journey, but what's the fundamental difference between aquascaping, like this natural style, versus like the new, well, not the new, but the more modern, kind of competition style, and you have these really complex diorama, these underwater like landscape scenes, versus something that you would actually potentially see, or something like this in the nature. And I think the analogy that we used was great. It was like you prefer. What would you prefer, to walk in a jungle or walk in a formal garden? And some people prefer like a very well kept manicured garden, and some people prefer jungles.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
Yeah.
As long as the fish looked after.
Yeah.
There's no right or wrong, is there?
No.
In my opinion. But I think I have a deeper or a closer connection with this style of aquascape. I think it brings you closer to nature.
Yeah.
Like a rawer nature versus that kind of man-made attempt to recreate nature.
Yeah.
So it's interesting.
Yeah, as much. The more I get into this nature style of scaping, I tend to love nature outside the aquarium
I agree.
even more. So it's hard to not love nature.
I completely agree. I think when I first started aquascaping, I was so obsessed with it, and I would just look at things outside and think, oh, how can I incorporate that? Get inspired from outside and bring it into the aquarium. And now it's almost the other way around, and now I'll see something outside that reminds me of something I've done in the aquarium. And I think that's probably a journey, because I spend so many hours and years now doing it. But I think when you do something for so long, you've been a hobbyist for many years, you start to see your kind of relationship with the hobby changes, doesn't it? It kind of evolves and grows.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just, but fundamentally there's still that connection, isn't there? It's all about the connection, I think. That's the deepest sort of lesson I get from keeping aquariums and fish and the plants. And you're not just keeping fish and plants, you're keeping bacteria, you're keeping microorganisms that you can't see. You're keeping filter bacteria, you're keeping literally thousands of species of something in this enclosed ecosystem that you have the overarching kind of hand in controlling. But you're not really in control, you're kind of just steering it, and you get it right, and you get go on the right course, and you steer it in the right direction, and you get something beautiful like this. But if you step away from that steering wheel and lose that control, then that's when you start to get algae, dying plants, dying fish. I think that's a really good lesson for people, is to make sure you stay at the wheel, and stay on top of it. And so on that topic, how often do you maintain this?
Once every week.
Okay.
Sunday.
Yeah. Do you do all the aquariums at the same time?
Yeah, I do. And then about 30-40% water change every Sunday.
Yeah.
And some algae scraping sometimes, but that's basically it. And then the fertilize every day.
Okay. And trimming the plants now and again?
Yeah.
And feed the fish a couple of times a day, or
yeah.
What do you feed them?
At the moment I'm something called super soft Artemia.
Okay. Is that dry food or?
Yeah, it is. But it's some kind of good
nutrition
quality.
Yeah. Where do you get that from?
Some place in Denmark I bought it.
Okay. Yeah. Interesting. Yeah. Maybe we can see them being fed later.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So how many fish are there? I mean, it's quite 30 tetras, 40.
I started out with 55. I don't know how many there's left. 35, 40. I lost some in the beginning. Okay. Some of them were a little small, and some of them got nipped by the scalars.
Okay.
So.
But they're all settled in now by the look of it.
Yeah.
They're very confident, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. So the biggest one are left, and they are just chilling around. And then there's 13 diamonds and 8 cordoras and 4 scalars.
Nice. So how long do you think you'll keep this running for?
Yeah, that's a good question. My aim is always to have a long run, but I haven't managed to have an aquarium for much more than a year. Okay. But I'm hoping to have this for a longer term.
Why is that? You get bored, or you get so excited by trying something new?
Yeah, I'm restless and getting excited about something new, and really want to create something. Trying some new fish I get excited about.
Yeah.
So, but I think I'll have I'm hoping to have a long shot on this one.
Yeah, I hope so. I'd love to see it really mature.
Yeah.
And maybe I can come back in a few months. And
that will be cool.
Yeah. The Vallisneria isn't from South America, is it? Or can it be? It's probably invasive these days.
It is. The thought about the Vallisneria is that it's looking very grassy, and this kind of grassy look is almost in every river in the world.
Yeah, that's true.
I love the Vallisneria. They're just so easy, and they look so natural.
Yeah,
so
it does.
It's one of my favorites. So.
Yeah, it's great for low tech because it doesn't go too fast.
Yeah.
And it's good for hard water actually, because it takes a lot of the carbonates out of the water. Yeah. It's so peaceful. It's really making me feel relaxed. I have been up since 4:30 this morning. We played paddle tennis.
Yeah.
You know, it's very popular in Denmark.
It is,
isn't it? Yeah.
For some reason.
So I played twice this week. And we booked a court from 6 a.m. this morning till 8 a.m.
That was it.
Yeah.
An early one.
Yeah, early. Yeah. I love it. I don't know if anyone who's watching has played paddle tennis, but it's just a cross between squash and tennis.
But it's not popular in UK?
No, not at all. I've never seen any courts anywhere.
It's everywhere.
It's everywhere,
so
I've been to 4 different courts already since I've been here, I love it, really, really. I played a lot of tennis as a kid, and I love squash, and I love all racket sports actually. How did you get into biotopes? I know you told me your story about how you got into aquariums, but what made you go down the biotope route?
I think it's the fascination of having this deep connection with nature.
Okay.
And I'm always kind of having this illusion to go down as a kid to the local, little water stream and put in the net and catch some fish and take them home and put them in your tank. Yeah. That's kind of my childish way to do it. So it's kind of that feeling, to have this little slice of nature you could cut out and put in your living room. Yeah. I think that's kind of what's drawing me to biotopes.
That makes sense. As you know, and you've helped Ty as well, been working on his book, which has heavily influenced me onto the style of aquarium keeping. Because I was always fascinated by the aesthetics. Yeah. you know, as sort of a creative person, and as someone that is into photography and you know, design and creating something beautiful, the aquarium was a canvas, a three-dimensional canvas, you know, that evolves. And it wasn't, and that's kind of how I saw it. And I saw the fish as these little moving pieces of colour, you know, rather than living creatures. And now I think I've kind of matured in my approach. I still have the aesthetic appreciation, but now I have a deeper, like you, a deeper connection with the actual nature and the animals, and actually the symbiosis of everything, you know, the ecology and how everything interacts, and it's like a perfect sort of symbiosis. You know, the fish produce CO2, the plants consume the CO2, you know, the plants consume ammonia and other nitrogen compounds which the fish create, which is toxic, but the plants, you know, offset that. You know, obviously you've got the bacteria production, which magically happens by itself, you know, the nitrogen cycle. How crazy is that? Yes. You put some living stuff in water and eventually you get the bacteria to help look after the water, just by magic almost. And so there's these sort of interactions, this interplay between, you know, these living things, and the end result is what we see, you know, in 3 dimensions and 2 dimensions if you're watching it on a video. But it's beautiful, isn't it? But not just to look at, and that's what I guess the message I'm trying to get across. It's very easy to appreciate the visual beauty, but I think if you go a step beyond that and dig a bit deeper, there's so much more beauty in the processes and in that creation. We're coming to the end of the 30 minutes, so we're going to have to. That's gone really quick, isn't it? Yeah. Well, we'll close it there, David. Thank you so much, and then we'll check out your other tanks. Very grateful for your time, and I'm looking forward to some dinner soon as well. I'm really hungry. I can smell it. It smells amazing. Where can people find you if they want to follow you on social media and things like that?
They can look up North Fish Biotope on either Instagram or YouTube.
Cool. Yeah. I'll leave links in the description.
Perfect.
And thanks again for hosting me.
Thank you for coming.
Cheers, mate. Awesome. Let's do a quick vlog on your little tank, if that's okay. And then I'll say cheerio.